Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cassie Villela, and I'm a realtor, property manager, and investor here in San Antonio, Texas. On this channel, we talk about all things real estate, from data and investing to home and garden. So if that's your cup of tea, then make sure you follow, like, subscribe, etc. This video series is kind of instructions for how to buy a home. And what we're going to talk about today is not actually a step in the process, but I think is valuable information for all home buyers. My assistant is the person who gave me the idea for this video because she said, hey, listen, Cassie, when people put something under contract, they get this email and there's like 1 billion people CC'd and they don't know who any of those people are. So you should introduce them. And I thought that was a very clever idea. It's something that I kind of take for granted because I do this all the time, but not everybody knows who all of those people are. So we're going to go over that today. First of all, obviously, you have your agent, who you hopefully know, right, that you've been dealing with for weeks now. But what you may not know is that in Texas, there are real estate agents and there are real estate brokers. Now, the brokers they have more experience and have taken more classes and have more knowledge, and they have a team of agents under them that kind of work on their behalf. But in Texas, officially, you are represented by your broker, not your agent. At the end of the day, the broker is responsible for the transaction. So it is important for you to know not only who your agent is, but who their broker is and what brokerage you are using. So you've got your agent and your broker, and then your agent may or may not have a transaction coordinator. A transaction coordinator is another real estate agent who only focuses on the paperwork part of the transaction. So this is the person who is going to make sure once you have something under contract that all of the different steps go along in order, that all of the documentation is signed, is done correctly. They kind of make sure everything goes along smoothly. So the transaction coordinator is a really important person. If your agent has one, some agents just do that themselves. So it just depends on the agent, but you might have a transaction coordinator. Typically, after the offer is accepted is when this person will introduce themselves to you, or your agent might introduce you to their transaction coordinator. So you've got agent, broker, transaction coordinator who represent you, and then you have the agent, broker, and possibly transaction coordinator who represent the seller. So that's going to be the listing agent, the person whose name was on the sign when you went to see the house, their broker, and then if they have a transaction coordinator. So that's your first 6 people, just the agents and brokers. Next, we're going to talk about your lender and all of the people that help your loan go through the process of getting approved. So obviously, again, your mortgage broker from step number 1. But your mortgage broker is basically kind of like an agent, is your point of contact for the transaction and dealing with the other party. Your mortgage broker is your point of contact for the lender and all of the people that are making the loan happen. So your main point of contact is going to be your mortgage broker. However, they are not the only person making your loan happen. They've got a whole team. So one person that you want to be familiar with is the loan processor. So generally, the mortgage broker will partner with a loan processor, and that person collects all of the documents and does all of the applications to get your loan approved by a mortgage company. There are really long online applications that they fill out. So the loan processor is usually the one who does that part. So they're kind of like the behind the scenes person processing all of the documentation, making sure the application is complete, getting the underwriter everything they're going to need. So if you get an email from the loan processor, that's one that you want to answer right away because they are pushing your loan through. They're trying to get your loan application input. And so if they ask you for something, you're going to want to respond to them as soon as you possibly can. Same thing with your mortgage broker, same thing with really everyone in the transaction, but just so you know, the loan processor is really trying to get that in as soon as they possibly can to make sure that you can close on time. Your mortgage broker, the loan processor, Your broker may have an assistant. The loan processor may have an assistant. There may be other people in like the local mortgage broker office that you work with. And then, like we talked about in video 1, a mortgage broker works with several other companies. And the mortgage companies are the ones who actually give you the loan. The mortgage broker is just kind of connecting you with the best company for your situation. So then once you get under contract, not only are you going to be working with the mortgage broker, but also with this company that's ultimately going to write your loan. So that could be a whole bunch of different companies. There's so many, but let's use in this example, because we're in Texas, Caliber Homes is a pretty big mortgage lender in Texas. So let's say your mortgage broker teams up with Caliber. So now not only are you working with your mortgage broker, but you're working with Caliber to try to get your loan approved. And the main person at Caliber that's going to work with you is the underwriter. The underwriter is kind of like the main person in getting your loan through. This is the person who is going to investigate everything about you. They're going to pull like your 3rd grade report card to see if there's any reason they can deny your loan. Obviously, that's hyperbole, but really only slightly. They really do go through your bank accounts and all of your documentation, and they try to get a very full picture of your financial situation and make sure you can afford this home. Obviously, they have to do a lot more now because after 2008, a lot of people were doing real shady stuff, and the underwriters weren't, keeping them from doing this shady stuff. So now there's a lot more rules. There's a lot more hoops to jump through. So, it's not their fault. It's the Dodd-Frank Act's fault if you want to blame somebody. But the underwriter is who all of your documentation has to go to, and they have to ultimately approve your loan. You probably won't hear directly from the underwriter. They communicate with your mortgage broker. I just want you to know who they are in case you see them CC'd on an email, or if you see like an email chain that's been forwarded to you that has the underwriter. I want you to know who that is. Just because I feel like this is such a huge decision. It's a scary thing to buy a home. And so I feel like knowledge is power. For me, knowledge keeps me from being anxious. So just so you have all of the knowledge of who all these people on the email chain are. That wraps up pretty much everybody who is going to represent the lender. There's some more people behind the scenes, but you probably won't see them on any emails or anything. Those are the main players. And then last, we're going to talk about the title company. So the title company, if you have not bought a home before, maybe think back to when you've bought a vehicle. So if you buy a vehicle from another person or a dealership, you have to make sure that your name is on the vehicle title, right? So whoever has the title owns the vehicle, or whoever's name is on the title owns the vehicle. It is the same with property. The government is going to record who owns all of the property. That way people don't get scammed. That way we know who owns what. So the title company is going to officially record the purchase of the home, make sure that everything's done appropriately and following the law. The title company also is going to provide title insurance, which is, we can get into in another video, but they're just ensuring that, yes, nobody else owns this land but the seller, and everything should be fine moving forward. And if anything comes up, we're going to cover it for you. We'll make it right for you. Basically, in a way too simplified version, what title insurance is. You've got the title company. You should look on your contract. You should see the name of the title company. It'll be on the second page of the 1 to 4 family contract. You'll see the name of the title company. So for example, Independence Title might be it if you're in San Antonio or Austin. Independence Title is the name of the company, and then it'll usually have an individual name, and that is the escrow officer. So it might say Laurel Stuckey with Independence Title. So Laurel is the escrow officer and Independence Title is the company. Escrow officer just means that she's coordinating the transaction. She's going to make sure everything is ready to close, and then she's going to close the transaction and disperse all the monies. So, just those simple, easy things, no big deal. Yeah, that person is a busy person, and they usually have assistants, many assistants, a whole team of assistants. And so you probably won't be communicating directly with the escrow officer, especially at the beginning of the transaction. You'll be communicating with an escrow assistant, or sometimes they call it escrow support. And so it'll be somebody on that person's team who will reach out to you. They need to get your information. They need to get all kinds of things that go into closing the property. So this is another person, if you receive an email from them, that you want to reply ASAP, because, holding up on that can delay your transaction. So you want to make sure you reply. If it's the title company, the lender, or your agent, during the transaction, you just want to make sure that you communicate quickly with all of these people and know who they are, so that your loan can close, that your house can close, and you can move in on time. I hope that helps. We're going to talk about in the next video what happens after your offer is accepted and kind of how the transaction gets started. But the first step in that is receiving an email, generally with all of these people CC'd on it. And I just wanted you to know, before we get to that step, who all of those people are. I hope that was helpful. If I left somebody out, or if you have any further questions, then make sure you put that in the comments. I'm happy to answer questions. And again, like, follow, subscribe, etc. See you in the next one.